It's the Lorenz Team Real Estate Show on the Real Estate Channel on TVU with your host, Jeff Lorenz. How you doing, Jeff?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Very good, very good. Lots of happening. Very, very busy at the office.
Yeah, my goodness, what a couple of weeks can do when it comes to real estate market. We obviously went through a serious, not even correction, it was just a full stop in the real estate market that started in about mid-April, carried through all of May and into the beginning of June. And then since that time, once the phase two had pretty much started in terms of the reopening of the economy, we saw the wheels fall or come back on, I guess, and the market just took off like a crazy storm. So we spent the last couple of weeks really running in circles here, trying to keep everybody happy.
That's good. That's interesting. And you, I guess it's a good time to, people are really going to be looking at either being a buyer or seller, and you've got a program to show us here.
Yeah, well, because right now I think a lot of the buyers are starting to, make waves. This would be a good opportunity to share just real quick, high level process that we use when we meet and engage with the buyer to inform them, bring them along, and ultimately help them find a property. Again, with the market having stopped as quickly as it did, people who were needing to buy put things on hold, but it didn't change their need to buy. And so what ended up happening is we just had more and more buyers kind of pooling on the sidelines. And then the minute the market kind of reopened, the buyers flooded the market space. And so, as I said, things have gotten quite busy. And I thought this would be kind of a neat time to just show the viewers a little bit about our program. When we meet with a buyer, our process is to provide lots of information. We're very much a data-driven business. We, rather than selling an opinion, we're basing all of our decisions on true and concrete data that exists by way of sales, pricing, the relationship between buyers and sellers, and that sort of thing. So we created a home buyer's roadmap, and the idea was to identify the major components of the process. As you can see from the top left-hand corner.
Oh, wait, you got to share the screen there.
Oh, is it not sharing?
Not yet.
Sorry, my bad.
Not a problem.
So I'm just bringing it up here. So can you see the screen?
Just a second. Yep, where we are.
There we go. So our process here is we walk our customers through the roadmap of buying from the time that you interview or choose a realtor here in the top left-hand corner, through the paperwork and all the way to the very end when the commissions are paid. We want to be very transparent in terms of how we're paid and who pays us, as well as every step along the way. And while there's no one thing that we do, that's distinctly different from everybody else, I think that there are kind of in combination a lot of little things that add up to a unique process and experience when you work with my team. One of the things that we're very proud of and that we discuss when we're just sharing a little bit of insight and background into our team are the different organizations that we're involved with. I'm a past president to the Chamber of Commerce, and one of my associates, Greg Litwin, is a past president to the Chamber out of Tofield. Dave Asp is Rotary past president. We have people that are involved with everything within their communities and giving back, and so that's an important thing for us. We also talk about the paperwork right up front. We think it's really important for people to know what they're going to sign and when they're going to sign it. One of the biggest changes that was implemented about 3 years ago was something called the Buyer's Brokerage Agreement. And anybody who's familiar with real estate is familiar with a listing contract. And of course, when you sell, you sign a listing, and that listing contract identifies all the elements of the sale. It includes how the realtor is going to be paid and how much they're going to be paid. The Real Estate Council of Alberta decided that it was really important for buyers to sign a similar agreement. So the buyer's brokerage agreement is the equivalent of a listing contract for buyers. And we are mandated by law to go through and discuss the entire kind of legal implications of hiring a realtor. And you know, I think it's a win-win. It forces a transparency that perhaps at times wasn't as open in discussions, especially when it comes to how realtors are paid. And it protects the realtor to a certain degree because it does create a binding contract for a period of time. So if I'm working with the buyer, I now can show them anything, and I'm protected in terms of how I get paid. Meaning I could show them a builder's product, I can show them somebody who's selling something by owner, and I'm protected. So the buyer, of course, the advantage to them is that they can get representation from their realtor anywhere. We, of course, want people to understand what's coming, and we want to be able to connect them to the right people. So on this program, I've had a few of my referral partners come on to talk about what they do. And so we are very proud of the connections that we've made across a variety of industries that are connected to real estate. And we believe that when you can connect these people to your clients and facilitate the process, it just takes away, you know, the anxiety that can be building when you're dealing with such a big dollar sign transaction. And everything we do is sort of based on the concept of a funnel. Even when I'm taking a listing, I use a funnel analogy when I talk about kind of high-level macroeconomics, and I funnel right down to a client's motivation to sell. When it comes to working with the buyer, we really want to distinguish the difference between wants and needs. And we want to, especially when there's a couple purchasing, husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, it's really important that that separately they can list the things that really matter to them, and then we put those together and we come up with a game plan in terms of the parameters that we're going to use to find the listings they want. At any given time in the Edmonton Real Estate Board, there could be 9,000 or 10,000 listings. So the idea is that we want to whittle that down to a manageable number of maybe 10 or even 12. That could be possibilities, picking the favorite 4 or 5, and we start there when it comes to showings. And like anything else within the funnel, each layer is typically some type of a parameter. So we often say, let's start with, you know, the price, but what, you know, community do we want to be in? What does the house want to look like? You know, whether the costs might be a part of the decision-making process, especially when people are thinking of buying an acreage but don't have a lot of experience with it. We want them to really understand how that could impact their budget. The cost of a tractor is a lot more than a snow shovel, and sometimes people don't account for that when they're buying their acreage. And then, of course, the features of the property. And from there, we're able to funnel down that manageable number. Where I think a lot of different companies start to create sort of niches for themselves is in the technology that they use. And Maxwell, a Realty, who's my affiliation, has patented their own app. So we load or provide everybody access to an app which integrates through your phone and the camera on your phone. So if you're driving down a street and you're thinking, why didn't Jeff send me this one particular listing? I'm looking for homes in this neighborhood around $500,000. He didn't send me that. Why would that be? If they hold their phone up through the camera, it will pick up, it'll link it to the database, and it'll bring up that listing. So they'll have the details right in front of them, price, pictures of the inside and everything. And what's really cool is they might see that that's listed for $600,000, and that's why I didn't send it to them, because they gave me, you know, a lower cap.
Yeah.
So the Maxwell app is a really cool tool for people who are, you know, outside of the data that we're sending them, you know, kind of shopping on their own, which is very typical. People are going to drive around, they're you know, their heads on a swivel when they're shopping in a neighborhood. And so this helps them with that. And then things like Dropbox, Authentisign changed our life. It's a way of authenticating a signature through an electronic software. So gone are the days where if we put a deal together at 10 o'clock at night, I have to pack up and drive to somebody's house. to sign and come home at midnight. We can do that all electronically in 30 seconds kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
We like to go through responsibilities, kind of breaking down what we'll do for our customer, but also what the customer is responsible for. I can book showings and I can evaluate properties, but it's also important for buyers to be a part of the team, and they have a responsibility too, which is to look at the stuff we're sending them and to be open in communication with respect to what they like, don't like. We really encourage drive-bys simply because a lot of decisions are made just from the exterior of a home and how it feels, what the neighbor looks like, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then we talk about the process of making an offer, the different elements of an offer. Everybody focuses on price, but there are just so many other moving parts that can make or break a deal. And so we want our buyers to be aware of what some of those things are before we even go into the shopping process, because they might be thinking, well, I'm going to offer them their asking price and only find out that the deal's dying because the possession didn't work, or they had conditions that just weren't reasonable for a reasonable amount of time. And then, of course, possession is how things come to a close. We have a protocol for releasing keys and walking with our customers through the home, making sure that it's the same, in the same condition as when they viewed it. Contractually, that's the expectation. If you view a home and it's kind of messy, you can sort of expect when you take possession it might be kind of messy. But if you look at a home and it's pristine, there is an expectation within the terms of the contract that it will be pristine when you take ownership of it. And then we talk about the commissions and how they're paid. I think in the past there was it was grossly misunderstood how commissions are paid. The process has never changed. The seller's lawyer pays the commissions. But what's really interesting is that when the buyer's brokerage contract came to be, we realized that it wasn't the seller that was paying the commission, it was the buyer. It's the buyer's money. So the buyer brings the pot of gold to the table, and that pot of gold gets transferred over to the seller's lawyer. And the only reason why it's not the buyer's lawyer that's paying everybody is because only the seller's lawyer has the ability to pay out the mortgage debt that would be owed on the property on behalf of the seller. So the seller's lawyer is instructed, and they're bound by the trust terms within the contract to pay everybody, but it's the buyer's money. And so we're very open in that and transparent with our buyers. Look, you're funding this transaction. That means we work for you. And we want to make sure right from the onset when we're signing that buyer's brokerage agreement that we're all on the same page, and that you're going to get what you're paying for. Mm-hmm. And gone are the days where a realtor can kind of slide by and say, the seller's paying the commission, you get us for free. That just makes the hair in the back of my neck stand up, because that's not true. Mm-hmm. The buyer's paying. And I think that they should understand that and own that. And when they do decide to work with a realtor, then it's really important that that realtor is accountable to the things that to the things that are in that contract. So
yeah,
that's a real high level, quick overview of how we do it.
It obviously works because you guys found a unbelievably beautiful home for one of your buyers.
Yeah, I thought I would share back to a screen. So this is actually a property that was listed by Team Sarasota in St. Albert. So shout out to Brooke, the realtor there.
Just turn the share on there. Yep, turn the share on. So
yeah. So I can give you the
link
ready
yet? Sorry, I didn't want to. It's a beautiful.
Here we go. So. Anyway, she was a great realtor to deal with, and my clients were a military transfer. He had retired, and so he has one more move with the military where they cover some of those costs. And so we sold a little house in Gibbons, and they took a pretty big step into a gorgeous home in St. Albert. There was a time where this probably was an $800,000 house, but with the market having corrected itself over these last handful of years, these clients were able to get this home for $675,000.
What a price advantage.
Significantly less. If
Wow.
I wouldn't say it's a buyer's market in the sense that there isn't competition, but it certainly is in the sense of how much prices have moved
They they
since the high.
they must have, when they wrote down everything and filled out the buyer's information and gave it to you, and you showed this to them, they must have. How long did it take them to decide?
Oh, about 15 seconds.
Oh man, it
You
is
know,
something.
this wasn't something that would have been affordable, I don't think, to them,
Mm,
had it been for this drop. And what's an interesting story to this, and our guest next week is going to be the inspector who inspected this home. When they were leaving, these people, the sellers were leaving so we could do our inspection, they shared that the reason for them moving is that they are now going to be looking after his mother-in-law,
mhm.
and this home didn't have the space to accommodate that. Look at that tub.
I know. It's just
I don't know if this
fantastic.
picture does justice, but my
It's
whole
just
team
there's
could sit in there.
well, it seems to be twice the size, like twice the volume, liquid
Oh,
volume.
if
It's a
not
big tub.
more,
Yeah, it's a
if
big
not
tub.
more. Yeah.
The
And
stonework is just amazing. The
yeah,
lofted ceilings, the master bedroom, everything's so good.
it had a full, look at this. This is 3 sinks. So when
Mm,
they lived there, they had 3 kids. And so they put all 3 kids lined up in the basement, and this is the basement.
nice.
I still think Dad probably enjoyed the bar back there, but
Yeah, for sure.
the kids were all off to another side, and they had that really cool bathroom with these 3 sinks and kind of all their own space.
And
This is
nice.
the
Nice.
backyard.
Oh,
Just a
look at
gorgeous, gorgeous house. And again, just another aside. So one, they're moving because they're taking care of a parent, which is a movement that we're seeing in the industry. If
hmm
anybody has a house that can be suited or that has a suite, that is becoming in huge demand.
just for
But
parents.
these guys bought the place. They weren't planning to move. Now they're moving. They'd only lived there for a few years, 2-3 years, and I think they were going to lose around $35,000 or $40,000. So again, if you're upgrading, there is such a good opportunity right now because the entry level market has been supported all the way through this. Prices haven't dropped when you're getting into entry level homes, but the higher you go, the more they've dropped. So
Yeah,
I'm
it's very
sorry to
exciting.
all the people out there who live in a really nice house and they're looking to right size. I would say wait. But if you're looking to upgrade, boy, there are some good opportunities to do that because,
And that's more the value of the land, I guess, would be going down, right?
well, it's just the nature of again what's transpired, across the, whether it be
Mhm.
global economics to supply and demand in our backyard.
Good for
But again,
taxes. Good for taxes on on property value going down. The taxes going down, but we've got some stuff to look at. Some
yeah.
stuff in Sherwood
So
Park.
kind of flipping to the complete
Don't forget, yeah.
opposite here.
But it's
And
entry. It's entry, right?
yeah, that's right. I'm just going to bring it up
Yeah,
here for
and
us.
then share. So
Yes, I'll. I need to get better at this quick
that's
share.
all good. That's okay.
So
It's all
what
good.
I did is I brought up bear with me here.
Yep.
Here we go. So going from a $675,000 sale in St.
Share
Albert
it. Share it.
to,
Let us see. Let us see. Let us see.
oh,
Share
is
it.
it not showing? Oh,
Not
here
yet.
we go. I'm getting better.
Yeah. No.
You got me?
Yeah. No. That's
Okay.
good. That's good too, though. Like people are,
So this
here we
is,
are.
for anybody who's familiar with Sherwood Park, you might
Yeah.
remember the apartment building that's kitty corner to Woodbridge School.
Yes.
What some people might remember is one of those buildings burnt down about
Mm.
12 years ago now, probably, maybe even longer. Gosh, dating myself. But I think there's 5 buildings in this complex. And
hmm
this is arguably the most inexpensive entry into Sherwood Park.
hmm
These are really cute little apartments. It's around 900 square feet.
It's fair.
If you see this here, it's got a corner wood-burning fireplace,
Yeah.
laminate flooring. It's got a balcony. That balcony faces west out towards the park at the Woodbridge School.
Where's Mike Warmby? What's the mortgage on that?
Gosh, yeah. Well, on
Be like $300.
124,000, it wouldn't be a whole lot.
Better than what
You
the
wouldn't be able
rent.
to rent it for that. Put it that way, because these things are generating a higher rent than the mortgage.
Oh yeah, for sure. This is
Little eating nook, and I mean, you can see that it's just a very well kept, but
yeah,
certainly
it's
not
very
tiny. It's
cute.
not a postage stamp.
No, I love the robin blue walls. Starting to see blue everywhere. Blue
Yeah,
everywhere.
yeah.
It's starting to show up. And
So
this is a 2 or 3 bedroom.
2 bedroom.
2 bedroom.
So it's got 2 bedrooms, and it's got this bath, which was updated,
Yeah.
4-piece bath.
Yeah.
And this is a nice sized balcony. In
Yeah.
fact, there are units in Sherwood Park that are smaller with little to no balcony for significantly more money, but they're newer. You know,
Yeah.
this building was built in 1979.
Yeah.
This is the view. You can kind of see the edge of the school there.
Yeah. This is a good buy.
124,000. Yeah. I don't know.
We've put out the call before, the last call for buy low, and when you said earlier today before we got online that there's the number of sales is outstripping the number of new listings. So when demand outstrips supply, what happens to price?
That's right.
It's got to go up sooner or later, right? So this is a good time.
That's right. And as we were kind of kidding around at the beginning before we got on the air here, I was pulling some basic stats and I was saying, gosh, there's 31 new listings in the last 3 days. And we were both kind of like, God, that's a lot of listings, 31 new listings, but there are also 40 sales. And that's in Sherwood Park alone. And I show another is 20 is pending. Like during a regular good market, you might see 10 a day. We're double and more than that right now. So I don't think that this is going to last a long time. This isn't a sign of the market, going crazy by any stretch. It is right now in this moment. I think a lot of our market is still artificially being supported through the government programs that exist right now and that are, funding people's enjoyment and debt and everything.
Pent-up demand though too. Whereas a few months, you said, 2 months on the side.
So there's a backlog of people.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody, well, I shouldn't say nobody, but the stress that people would have had if it weren't for the support that the government has been putting out through the CERB and various programs, they've created a really good opportunity for people to continue looking at what makes sense for them and their families. And, people that can upgrade are. There's still definitely a little movement in the retiree market. The people that are selling, in fact, that apartment I just showed you is an older lady who's going to be moving in with her daughter. So we're seeing a very interesting movement right now of kids taking on parents moving in with kids. Those would be the more senior people that are selling right now. Most seniors aren't buying right now, whether they're skittish or whatnot, just based on what's going on around us. Mm-hmm. So the buyers tend to be kind of at that younger age demographic. Sellers are a little bit all over the board, but certainly some of our more senior customers are selling. Mm-hmm. And the demand for properties that are conducive to an in-law suite or a legal suite are in such high demand right now that you could be a little diamond in the rough if you have one, because there aren't enough of them. And a lot of that just has to do with the rules around making a legal suite. They're quite aggressive and stiff. But the people who have them, it's a really good investment to have today.
Excellent. The Lorenz Real Estate Team show on the Real Estate Channel on TVU with your host, Jeff Lorenz. Thank you, sir. That was an excellent show.
Perfect.
See you next time.
Cheers.